name is Gina Johnson-Morris, and I am the co-owner of Radish Underground, and I currently design, make, and wholesale our 3 in-house jewelry lines. I am also the co-founder of the West End Marketing Cooperative and WePDX.com, and we have branded the neighborhood, and for the last 2 years, banded together 40 local businesses for a more impactful marketing campaign. And I delve into my former career as a professional performing artist. Like Terry mentioned, the video of very unexpected success as the girl in the red dress and choreographer for Isaac's Live Lipped Up proposal. And I bring that up specifically because on my entrepreneurial journey, the arts have come to my aid in ways that I could never have expected and actually guided my path in ways that I couldn't have expected. So if I leave you with one takeaway, it is that supporting arts education in terms of entrepreneurial leadership is so vitally important. So we all know that the entrepreneurial journey itself is winding, and it's fraught with obstacles and boons and twists and turns, and distilling that all into 12 minutes is rather difficult. But I will do my best to tell you how we got where we are, why we're doing what we're doing, and probably shock a lot of you with the current trajectory of my path here at the end. But more on that later. I hear this all the time, every day, wafting in off the street in voices from 8 to 80. Radish Underground, what's that? Well, we're a shop, and we carry products from designer-owned companies from all over the world, many of which are exclusive, with a heavy focus on Portland and the Northwest. We think a lot about manufacturing and the makers of the world. It should be easy to find quality, timeless goods made by the designer themselves or someone directly connected to the designer for a bare living wage in good working conditions with an active awareness of their environmental impact. So when we opened in 08, we set out to be detectives, to find independent lines that you can feel good about supporting. These are designers that give a damn about the world that we live in and the people in it. Buying local is a really great start. So of course we focus in on our Portland-based lines, but we really understand that local is everywhere. And in order for these designers to reach their dreams, they also have to reach a broader market. And we would like to be a part of that broader network and a conduit of sorts for people to find their thoughtfully made goods. It's also very important to us to help develop these small businesses that we're working with. So we teach workshops and offer feedback and consulting for designer development. Pretty much as a rule, artists and artisans hate talking about money and their art in the same sentence. So we're trying to bridge that gap and boost their business savvy, which gives them a fighting chance for longevity, taking their well-honed craft into a sustainable career. The first lesson we teach is bringing a little yellow rubber ducky into class and setting it on the table and saying, the rubber duck represents your business or your product. You are not your duck. It is vitally important to start to view your business or your product as a living entity that is outside of you, and the inevitable adversity that will come its way can roll right off of its back. It must keep swimming, and most importantly, it must migrate with the changing seasons. You have got to let your business and your product evolve, or you're just going to hamstring yourself. And there's a long-term vision here. We are, in essence, training, guiding, and shaping our own supply chain. So I keep saying we, and I'm referring to my incredible, brilliant, whip-smart, so talented business partner and best friend, Celeste Sipes. She is the heart and soul of Radish Underground, just as much as I have been the public face of the company up to this point. And to tell you how we got here, I have to tell you a little bit about our past. So Celeste and I grew up dancing together in Montana, and we are the daughters of 2 artists, a dancer and a musician, the arts, again. And so you could pretty much say since birth, we've had a really healthy respect for community and craftsmanship. And when we were tweens at the ballet bar, we had this vision of living in the same city and owning a business together, but we had no idea what that would look like in reality. And Celeste actually came to Portland about a decade before I did, and I went to Los Angeles to dance with the company, and by the time I got here, she was making and wholesaling her own clothing line. And I did a series of odd jobs and ended up working as the manager and head merchandiser at Lululemon Athletica in the Pearl District. And they have a really excellent retail management and entrepreneurship training program if you take advantage of it, which I absolutely did. I even had the opportunity to bend the ear of the then CEO, Bob Mears. And if you don't know, Bob was also the CEO of Reebok back in the day when those killer classic red Velcro high tops were making a name for themselves. So he really knows this stuff. And I said, Bob, here's my idea, what do you think? And He said, your idea is sound, you're not reinventing the wheel, and you also don't have time to make the mistakes of the people that have come before you. So do your research, keep your overhead low, and don't be afraid to let go of what's not working, which is really sound advice. So Celeste and I decided after this collective amount of experience we'd had, it was time to address our adolescent dream. And about this time, we started looking at spaces, and we came up against our first obstacle or opportunity, depending on how you look at it, the global financial crisis of 2008, or the worst possible time to open your doors since the Great Depression. Literally, the day that we opened was the worst day on Wall Street in the last 50 years. So it forced us to really dig in and utilize every ounce of creativity and levity and willpower, trial by fire, and flat-out moxie to think through the obstacles and persevere, which we have. We are going to cross into our 6th year of business in the West End this fall. There are a million examples I could give you of ways that we've sort of thought around and outside of the traditional business model to become successful, but I'd like to share 2 specifically. So our duck, Radish Underground, it's doing great, it's swimming right along, we're having wonderful feedback and customer experience, but we need a bigger pond. We need to grow our customer base. So the first thing I look at is our foot traffic. Step outside the building and look at my neighborhood. Well, I'm in a concrete jungle. There's literally nothing living on my block. Why, of all the streets in Portland, would anybody walk down my street if there's nothing living there? So I started a green beta program and planted trees and put little planter boxes out, and then put vinyls up across the street on the dilapidated building that was formerly broken windows and graffiti that said Shop West End Fashion with a little map that featured the 5 boutiques that were in the area at the time. Then enter PICA, the Portland Institute of Contemporary Art, moved into that building. Their communications director, Patrick Leonard, reached out to the neighborhood, and of course, I wrote him about a 3-page email, and we knew that we were going to be wonderful partners in crime, and we founded WePDX, which is the West End Marketing Cooperative. And the idea is that it's very hard for small businesses to get any kind of traction with their marketing dollars when they have such a limited budget. So if we're all contributing in a small buy-in, we have a larger pool as a group to do a massive West Coast campaign and in-market campaign that's directing tourism specifically back to our neighborhood. It's also cross-genre. So for example, if we're putting an ad about our restaurants in the food issue of the Seattle Met, that foodie that's coming down to Portland is automatically introduced to the retail and the entertainment and the record labels and all of the other things happening in the neighborhood. We also made it very simple for maintenance and constant activity in that we have an aggregated Twitter feed of all the participating businesses on the website in addition to the Google map. So if these businesses are already doing their social media marketing, it's populating on the site. So you're getting up-to-the-minute information. Okay, so we've addressed our foot traffic issue. Now we're talking about online. That is a huge portion of the market, and we want a slice of that pie. So how do we open our pond online? Well, now we are at our second obstacle/opportunity, brand recognition. We have none. We are working with all small lines who, for the most part, don't have people Googling the stock list to see where they are carried. So our solution to this was to create our own in-house brand, which is also a higher margin product for us, but that will be wholesaled into specific boutiques and locations around the country so that a much larger audience is seeing them, picking them up, going to the website, and finding us as curators of independent fashion that you can feel good about supporting. Both of these entities have developed on their own and have a life of their own and are really going extremely well. And here's the point where I actually shock you a little bit. So when we did our business plan, and we worked on it for over a year, we really thought long and hard about the choice to become full-time entrepreneurs, and we built some very specific guidelines into our operating agreement about our priorities as individuals, our 20-year relationship in this new light of business partner, what we see for the business in general, and our eventual Radish empire, and how does that all stack up against the roller coaster rigors of running a small business? Well, in the closing out of our 5th year, we have looked back at our operating agreement and our business plan and projected into the future, and we've realized that we're coming up against our 3rd obstacle or opportunity, and in this case, we think very much opportunity. So Our duck is swimming along and doing famously well. We are so proud, and it's so successful on its own. It's right on target. But we realize that pushing into the near future, we are going to be putting perhaps undue pressure on the duck to keep its course, have room to grow, support 2 full-time owner-managers who have independent personal goals that we'd like to achieve. Specifically, my personal goals in the sense that Celeste says I'm spinning circles in the pond and I'm ready to take flight in ways that maybe the duck isn't quite ready to support. And so we have made a decision that might come as a surprise, but again, it's all part of that winding entrepreneurial journey. I have stepped out of my position currently at Radish Underground and will be leaping into the job market. And pretty much at the end of this speech, I am available for hire. We are so excited about this change because what's the cardinal rule? Keep your overhead low and don't be afraid to let go of what's not working. I will of course remain on board in an advisory capacity and a partial owner of the business, much like a chairman of the board of directors, but that just sounds a little corporate for us. So our LLC is the Holistic Detective Agency, so I am now the head detective of Radish Underground. And I will be taking every ounce of experience and ideas and innovation that I have gathered over these last 5 years running a small business and over 15 years in the performing arts and doing all kinds of things I can't enlist here, and putting myself out there into the world to gain more knowledge and information. And again, this is a long-term vision. Just like we had the idea to invest time in the development of our small businesses that we're supporting as designers and training our supply chain, this is the long-term vision to train me as a future investor in my own company. Much more to say on the topic, and I promised Terry that I wouldn't go over my time, so I will leave it at that, and I would love to speak to you more about my goals in my new career and what's happening at Radish. Please find me at the break or email me, gina@radishunderground.com. And thank you very much for all of your time. Thank you everyone at OEN. It's such an honor to be here, and your technical crew is wonderful, and I hope you have a beautiful day.